ego and lock up their partisanship and get to the table and stay at the table and do what's necessary so we can protect our children.
Now, you represent federal law enforcement officers, some that agree and some disagree on how we get there. Is there common ground, you think, in this area that we can find common ground that would really deal with this issue when we see children being buried? I mean, children.
Absolutely. Reverend Al, the congressman said it himself. There are issues with the mental health background. There are issues with straw buyers. These are not Second Amendment arguments. I just wish that everyone would understand the Second Amendment is not going to evaporate. It's here. It's meaningful. It does not cut to the core of what we're dealing with here. Again, we need to focus on the issues the congressman said. We need to focus on a very comprehensive strategy. Look at the schools. Schools are sacred grounds.
Right.
We can't have guns near schools, period.
Congressman, today there was a shooting in California where there was an armed guard there. The NRA, Mr. LaPierre, who had come out with suggesting arming teachers and putting on armed guards in schools, now today they're arguing that they're going to take their own solutions directly to Congress. Let me quote from their statement. "We will now take our commitment and meaningful contributions to members of Congress of both parties who are interested in having an honest conversation about what works and what does not work." Are you confident that Congress now is maybe ready to do something and in a different place than it's been since you've been on this committee trying to deal with this?
I think one of the important terms to use is evidence-based. You have to look at evidence. One of the, Dewey Cornell, who's a psychologist at the University of Virginia, frequently reminds us that if your prevention plan begins when the shooter is at the door, it's too late. You have to have prevention that goes back a long way. And one of the things that we need to do is to make sure that young people get on the right track and stay on the right track. We need the Youth Promise Act will provide grants to in fact do this so that you don't have young people being bullied, getting mad, gradually year after year getting worse and worse, and then start acquiring firearms, massive weapons, and showing up at the door. We need to make sure that we identify these people as early as possible and have a comprehensive evidence-based approach to youth violence and violence generally. There's not going to be any one solution. It has to be comprehensive, and you can't wait until the shooter gets at the door to fashion a prevention plan.
So you would agree with the congressman, and that's your message to the vice president, that we must solve the problem and we can get to common ground here.
Agreed. And if the vice president has to go to all the groups and lock them in a room, I mean, they resolved the NHL strike, and that isn't as important as this.
Right. Congressman Bobby Scott and John Andler, I'm going to have to leave it there. Thank you both for your time tonight.